Hello and welcome into the Knicks-Verse with commercials overlaid. Welcome, Foxy. How are you doing, man? And welcome to everyone in the chat. Sorry that we're late here. I was experiencing some technical difficulties. Haven't gone live in a while, so it's exciting though.
All is good. Hope all is well with you, the chat, the replay gang, and into the Knicks-Verse family. Missed you guys. Hope all is well. See a lot of our family in the chat. Adele Chapman and Scott Woodworth and Connor Tulin and legendary Joe Madden and Palace Shenanigans and John Talento and others. So can't wait for us to talk New York Knicks basketball.
Awesome. Yeah, we got a good group here. Nice. Hey, welcome, Adele. Mr. B, Shot Clock Violation, Scott Woodruff, Connor Tulin. Good to see you. Palace Shenanigans. Awesome. All right. Well, today, this is our third live draft special with our guru, our draft guru, Mr. Stephen Fox here. And today we're going to talk about there's only about 48 hours from now, the draft will begin. Oh, isn't that crazy to think we're here finally?
Yeah. Ooh, it's been so long. Can't wait.
I know. I was trying to think back last season. Last season, everything was so compressed that because they started late, and yeah, this time it's been a little different. We've had a lot more time to look at different players, and my opinions have slightly changed a little bit. Maybe refined is a better word for it. I don't know. How are you feeling about the draft overall?
I'm feeling well. I wish we had a higher draft choice, but I think, like you said, so much analysis. There's a lot of good players in this draft, folks, and I think there's things the Knicks can do to revitalize this roster and make us a competitive team.
I agree. I think there's some issues. One named Tom Thibodeau, double T. How much will he embrace any draft pick that we select? Will he really use them? That's always an issue, a problem with him. We saw it lost 2 seasons, really. But he did finally come around on IQ, and then he finally did admit that he made a mistake not featuring Obi earlier. So let's see how true that is. But there's been a lot of rumors lately. A lot of rumors from the Kyrie rumor, which I put a video out yesterday about that last night. If you guys haven't checked that out, should definitely check it out. I lay it out pretty concisely why Kyrie should just be someone else's headache. And then also discussed some big news, which is that the Knicks seem to be legitimately going after that Sacramento Kings number 4 pick. And there's been further development on that. We're going to get into that today. And we're going to talk, what we're going to do is we're going to break it out into 4 different sections. And then we're going to do some Knicks news at the end. And of course, you guys have questions in the chat, just drop them in and we'll address them during the show, or maybe we'll look at them later on in the show or whatever. But, we welcome your input and everything. So for sure, definitely. The first thing is we're going to talk about the trading up scenario. We're going to that's going to be an update because I dropped that other video before. I've had 2 videos already about trading up. So we're going to update that. Then we're going to discuss the possibility. It's been little discussed, but the possibility of the Knicks making a slight move up to grab a guy that may have fallen because someone like Dyson Daniels or Ousmane Dieng might have jumped up into the top 8 or 9, or possibly even Duran. So there's a couple of guys that are getting looks, they're getting interest, and they may leapfrog over some of the other guys that the Knicks have been looking at. Possibly, some guys might slip 1 or 2, but they won't be there at 11. So, but somebody who we thought might be gone by 6 might be there at 9. Should the Knicks make a little move? I mean, like even with the Wizards, someone could be there at 10, make a little move for that guy. So we'll talk about that. Then we're going to talk about what should the Knicks do if they end up staying at 11. They make no trades, but there are guys there at 11 that they are interested in. So we're going to look at those guys. Then there's always a scenario, because we know what our Knicks are like. They like to trade down. They like to maximize their pick value. And if they like two guys equally, and they know that one guy is going to be there 4 slots down, then the guy that they think might get taken in the next slot, they'll trade their pick to get the guy 4 slots down. So we're going to look at that possibilities, and we're going to discuss scenarios. Foxy's got some interesting scenarios for trading down and just in general. And then we're going to look at the Mitch Robinson negotiation update. We've heard some nice things today about it, so we'll touch on that. All right. Anything else you want to add to that, Foxy?
No, that's a whole lot for us to talk about with our family, and I can't wait.
Me too. That is a lot to talk about. All right. Well, let's get to it. Here we go. So today, actually, this article was dropped just yesterday, or late last night. The Knicks have offered multiple firsts to the Kings for Jaden Ivey. It's a real thing. They didn't say what player. Here, I'll just read this quickly for you. The New York Knicks might be prepared to match the significant price it would take to acquire the number 4 overall pick in the 2002 NBA draft from the Sacramento Kings, according to our favorite guy, SNN's Ian Begley. People in touch with Sacramento say that in the club's conversations with New York, the Knicks have talked about offering multiple first-round picks in a package for the number 4 pick. Begley reported Tuesday. I don't know which players were offered, but it wasn't enough to lock a deal in. Actually, this was this morning. This was dropped. So he doesn't know which players were offered. Begley cited Purdue's Jaden Ivey as the one target for the Knicks to do this trade up. Of course, we've heard that already before. And then Jonathan Wasserman, he updated his big board, and he's got the 6'4" guard at he's the number 4 overall prospect in this year's draft class. And he says Ivey going in the top 3 seems like a long shot, but there was some buzz in Chicago about scouts and teams who have him as high as number 2. That's interesting. There is no topping his explosiveness off the dribble, and over the past year, his improved handles and vision have helped him maximize the effectiveness of that burst. Ivey's development as a shooter and decision maker will ultimately determine how valuable of an NBA guard he becomes. He made some nice strides with his jump shot, though a cold final 2 months from 3 does raise questions after he struggled from deep as a freshman. With Ivey and R.J. Barrett, the Knicks would have a dynamic pair of young stars who can either lead the franchise forward themselves or help New York fare better in free agency than it has in recent years. Interesting. Then we go to this. So today, here's some another interesting aspects to this, some wrinkles to this. In addition to talking to Sacramento, the Knicks, this is Ian Begley tweeted this out. The Knicks, because based on a Mark Stein report that came out today. In addition to talking to Sacramento, Knicks have touched base with Detroit about potential move up in 2002 draft for the 5 pick. I also heard, and I talked about it in yesterday's video, they even talked to OKC about the number 2 pick in a possible 3-team or even 4-team scenario. Not sure about the details of it or whatever, but it's interesting. I heard it from a couple different sources, so that's another interesting. So the Knicks are active. They've also been in contact with other teams to find out what their interest in Ivey is overall, to see what their competition might be. Then Evan Sidery, he tweeted this out, crediting B. Kravitz, who is a pretty well-known NBA source. The Kings want number 6 plus 2 future first-round picks in order to move down from number 4 from the Pacers, which Indiana declined. Sacramento's outrageous asking price is making it likely they stay put and select Keegan Murray or Jaden Ivey. Then the bench warmer tweeted this out. I've heard that the Knicks just offered a shitload of picks and a player or players for the 4th pick to the Kings. Have a feeling this deal will come down to the wire. New York is all in for Jaden Ivey. That tweet feels like the most relevant. I think when it comes down to it, 45 hours from now, 45 hours from now, the Knicks must know at this moment which player or two it would take for them to part with to get that number 4 pick from the Kings. They already know it. It's just a matter of whether they're willing to do it. And whether the Kings are willing to soften a little bit on their stance. Foxy, what are your thoughts on all of this?
I'm always about value. If we can, I don't want to, we don't have talent. I don't want us to give up so much for one player. I think Ivy, he has electric athleticism. He's unstoppable in transition. He'll be better in the pros than he was in college. It's either a dunk, a layup, or a kick out to a teammate for an open shot. So even though in college he averaged 3.1 assists to 2.6 turnovers, which isn't very attractive for a point guard, it's a different point guard position today. His speed will be so disruptive that I think that in 2 or 3 years that, as the game slows down, right now he has a first gear and a fifth gear. He has to learn that second, third, and fourth, the pace, and he will. And he will. He'll be a really dynamite player. It's just, do you want to give up that many assets? And again, I don't know if they're going to want to do that. The teams before us that are picking, there are a reason they're there. They're not that good. And if you get a player that has generational athletic talent, how do you give him up? If you want to, as a team, get better, he's that type of player that he's just so disruptive with that explosion. You just don't see that come around every once in, So if that jumper settles in and he does a little better, he's going to be devastating. I see a young Westbrook that just coast to coast, and they collapse, he kicks out. If they don't collapse, he goes in for a basket. And he's big.
A young Westbrook that actually can shoot the three, though.
Like the thing said, he did cool off. He did shoot 35% or so. He has, his mechanics. He has a real low release point. But I was hoping that he'd have a more dynamic. He doesn't really have any middle game at all, mid range game at all. So he has a lot to work on. So anybody, if we send that many resources, it's for a guy that has a lot of speed that you hope in a couple of years the game will slow down to that he can be devastating. He's going to be some games that you're like, oh my God, he's fantastic. And then the next game, you're going to go, oh my God, he had 7 turnovers. And that's a natural progression, but he plays at a really high level. He's not the dog I like on defense, but neither is John Morant, So you hope that, for a guy with that amount of athleticism, you average less than a steal a game. And that's something that you think that, there's a lot of guys in the league or around that have a steal and a half, and they don't have anywhere near his athleticism. So he's a really good player, but I would not give up the bank. I'd give up number 1. I'd give up our number 11. I'd give up Dallas's number 2023. I'd give up Rokas. I'd give up a shitload of second rounds, but I just don't know how much I'd go in because of all the other elements of his game that needs to work on. I know he has speed, but it's all the other parts on top of that.
Would you give up either Obi or IQ?
Sure.
As the one player.
Absolutely. If I can get
either one of those, would you be willing to give up both? Because I have a feeling that's the ask right now, because they know they're not going to get RJ. And Cam, unfortunately, thanks to Tom Thibodeau, he's still an unknown. And then Grimes might be, maybe you can move, maybe they want OB and IQ. Maybe you can swap out one of those two for Grimes. So you're giving up IQ and IQ and Grimes, or OB and Grimes. What in that scenario? I mean, I'm on the fence about whether I would give up both those guys. I think no. I think I'd rather have them try to take take a Grimes, who actually could fit well with Sacramento.
Absolutely.
He could fit very well with them. And you know, they're not going to need IQ, so they're gonna want Obi. Obi and Grimes, the 11th pick, the 23rd pick.
23rd pick being
The Dallas one.
Okay, that's what. Okay, next year.
Sorry, next year.
23 pick. Yeah,
the next year.
Yeah.
That's. What do you think about that deal? It's got to hurt a little bit.
No, I don't mind paying a tax. I just, I wonder what they saw in workouts. He's going to be a really, really good player. I just don't know. Meaning, everybody knows I love Ben Mathurin, and I just don't know if the tax would be as high for Mathurin. And you're getting, like I said, he has to learn to be a point guard. He's not really a point guard at all. Like I said, 3.1 assists to 2.6 turnovers.
He will actually. Sco dropped it in here. He says, "Hey Foxy, I think Ivy might be being mentored by D Rose for a couple years." That's true. It helped IQ.
Yeah, Sco is awesome, man. Sco's always saying deep stuff. And you know what, Sco? I think you're right. There's not, his quiet elegance. I think there would be something about that, him helping him there. And from a player like D Rose that had unbelievable athleticism when he came into the league, that had to harness that athleticism with the smarts. So I think that's something that, there's not a better mentor than a D Rose would be, for that kid. So yeah, that's a fantastic point as usual, Sco.
I guess here in the chat, Chief Boyer's like, no way I give up Grimes plus multiple picks. I'd rather give up IQ, but I'd rather move back. Interesting. We're going to talk about the move back scenario. The thing we have to think about is, the Knicks, they're all in on Ivy. There's just way too much smoke. And we already heard they actually made an offer. So this is for real. Now it's just a matter of whether they can actually construct the deal. Last year, we did not hear about them trying to move up with the Magic to get the 5th pick to grab Suggs. We heard about it later. So it was like, look, but this time we're hearing it. Maybe the interest last year was kind of like last minute. They weren't really fully all committed, so they didn't want to even leak it, or there weren't enough sources weren't willing to come forward with it. But this year it's totally different. So they obviously see something in Ivy that they desperately need, and I agree. The athleticism, the burst. What he does is constant pressure on the rim from a guard position, and the guy can shoot the 3. He did cool off. Sometimes that happened. Well, the wear and tear of the season, the burden of having to carry that offense, even though he did had Travion Williams, who I really like him as a playmaker from the center position, but there really wasn't much other offense on that team.
What at all? You're 100% right.
Yeah, and Johnny Davis suffered the same thing. So
and Keegan Murray,
exactly. And so you see the teams that did well towards the end in March Madness are teams that had multiple options. Paolo, AJ, they can give you some different looks. Where the teams that are really very one scoring player centric, those players end up suffering over time. The ones that don't are the absolute great transcendent players. That's a whole different thing. So I agree with you. I see him being a better pro. Does he have weaknesses? Absolutely. But he just has things. He brings things that the Knicks desperately need, and that they're where else are they going to get this now? That's kind of the point that I made in the video last night. How many other explosive, exciting guards like him are out there that are available?
No, you're right. He's dynamic, man. He changes everything because of that speed. There's a reason that old cliche, speed kills. And it's just so damn disruptive that I can absolutely see, why teams drool over the potential that he has. So yeah, I understand it. But versus a Trey Young coming out, Trey could shoot the hell out, shoot, but and break down defenses with his quickness and get in there. He really,
And,
the
and
thing
yet
that
people were concerned. Is he going to be too small? Is
absolutely,
he going to be able to see over the defense?
but the thing that I think about is, we've talked off the air that, trying to bring some hope to the Knicks is that the team that I've been focusing on, the team I focused on a few years ago for the Knicks was Toronto, and this past year, Memphis. That, 1 star, and they were 21-6 without Ja. So they showed that Ja was really important, but they could be a winning team without Ja. And, so players like Ja are electric and they're great for highlights, but sometimes the teams don't play that great because the player, the usage factor, we talked about RJ. How's RJ going to handle having a kid who needs the ball in his hand to do his magic? Is RJ going to be happy being more of a catch and shoot guy because this guy is going to be the ball's in his hand and he's going to be exploding from midcourt, and what's going to happen? And a lot of the plays are not going to be scripted; they're just going to come from the air because of what happens on defense. So, everyone's role is going to change with this type of player. So he's not like a Brunson that's a low usage point guard that, this is a guy that needs the ball in his hands to do something because he's not going to kill you from catch and shoot and stuff.
Yeah. Well, he's not, as a rookie, especially, he's not going to be that ball dominant, especially in a Thibodeau offense. I think he'll let's say he's on the court. Let's say IQ's gone, which will be sad, but let's say he's gone to make this happen. Ivy and RJ is going to have the ball in his hands a lot. In fact, I will say he will probably be a 30% usage rate guy. Ivy will be in the mid-20s, and then you have Randall. If unfortunately he's still around, I wish we could have just given Sacramento Randall for this 4th pick, but it's so tricky. We have to take back salary. We have to take back Harrison Barnes, and you guys see what the offer was. The Knicks did not even offer that. They didn't offer it. They're offering picks and a player or two. So that's not necessarily enough to take players back. Though nothing else, none of the details were given on that. So we'll see about that. But right now, it would be nice if we can just move Randall out of here.
Yeah, I think that's job one for whatever we do. And, I've talked about giving him up for Westbrook, and I'll take $47 million for 1 year and then clear the books. And not even play Westbrook, pull a John Wall, get him and just don't play him, play the kids and just get rid of Randall. I just think that no matter what shape Randall comes in and no matter what he says about, I have to keep my emotions out of control, then it's going to be, whether it's a bad call or something's going to set him off and he'll have that bad behavior all over again. So I think the best thing for Knicks fans, for the Knicks teammates, for everyone is for him to move on. And but I can understand the management don't want to give him away for nothing. He is a 2010-5 guy.
Yeah.
So it's a tough thing, but they created a monster and now they have to deal with him.
Yeah. Well, that's something that Ian Begley also reported, that he said that there's not enough people. I don't even remember exactly how he phrased it, but basically the Knicks front office, they're not willing to just trade Randall for anything. They feel he has value and they want to hold on to him until they find the right scenario. So it's not, they don't prescribe to the philosophy that I do, which is addition by subtraction with him. It's unfortunate because we have Obi sitting there ready. We have RJ who's ready to lead. And if we can get somebody as dynamic as an Ivy, we have a nice little trio just in those guys. If somehow we can hold on to IQ as well, which would be a miracle, but that would really be a nice young core that can develop with a guy who has that pop potential.
Yeah, our shelves are all full of good players. We have no more room for good players. We need elite and somebody that has elite skills and that athleticism and speed that he has is elite. We have to add elite to this team. If we add just another role player, the distance between us and the other teams in this league they're growing. You and I talked about it. Teams like Charlotte, Boog Knight, and their top picks who the Knicks fans drooled over didn't even play this year. Kai Jones didn't even play this year. So many of these teams, the young kids, Isaiah Jackson on Indiana, all these guys, they didn't, we saw the playoffs, Kuminga and, Moses Moody, they got a little time, but not, so these teams are stacked. And folks, in this draft, the rich are going to get richer. In the picks 25 and up, they're going to get a really good ball player, these excellent teams. So we have to swing for the fence and add elite or do something different. If we just add another good player, we're not going to do anything, this team. Pardon me.
Yeah, I mean, we're just well, there are very few guys around like Ivy.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of Chet and Jabari and that stuff, but they're not looking at that. They're looking at a dynamic guard right now.
I can't see how he passes three. Truthfully, Chet, I can see a team taken because he has everything for being a franchise, front defense, being a stretch five. He has all these things, but I'm old school. Jabari, I like Banchero, but they're power forwards. This is a wing or, I think the impact that Jaden had would be so much greater, even though those guys are very, very talented, Banchero and Smith, that I'd be shocked that a team doesn't do something. Hey, we got a super chat from our guy.
Yeah, Parrish. Thank you, brother. Is Ivy worth 2 number ones? Obi and Quickly? Do we like Abaji? Yes, I do like Abaji, and we're going to talk about him a little later. This is what we're talking about right now, Parrish. Is Ivy worth 2 number ones, which would be the 11th pick this year, the Dallas 2023 pick, and Obi and IQ? I think that would get this thing done. Maybe they have to throw in one more second rounder. We're not sure. But the thing is, that's very rich. I mean, Obi has proven himself that he can be a starting power forward in this league. And IQ is one of the best young long-range three-point shooters in the game. And he's developed into a really nice playmaker. I can see him even evolving even further in that. His defense is taking a leap. The guy puts the fear of God in defenses. So he has a lot to offer. Can he be a starting point guard on a championship team? I'm a total wait and see on that. No, but can he be a contributing point guard on a solid team? Yeah, I think so. So I think that is a lot to give up for that kind of player. But right now, the Knicks are serious. They're serious about. The shit.
They have to be serious.
Yeah. When I look at all these scenarios, the thought of Randall sticking around. Can you imagine Randall with Ivy?
I can imagine Randall with
what
any
the hell
young player.
How's that going to work?
With any young player, I think he's going to have a detrimental impact on their development. And also we saw him taking off plays.
Scoot Henderson is not Ivy. Ivy lost to St. Francis.
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody about Scoot Henderson that obviously he's going to be in a top 3 maybe draft pick. It depends, but a lot of people don't realize he shot only 17% in G League this year, Scoot. So he has a lot of potential, but Anthony Black, the point guard from Arkansas, 6'7", sees the floor like Giddey, can shoot. He may have some competition at that point guard slot in the 2023 draft, which is loaded, Parrish. But Scoot doesn't have Ivy's speed, but he's athletic as hell, man.
I just have to send this text. Sorry about that.
No, just real quick,
Work.
we have 218 people in the
Awesome.
chat.
Thank you
Do
guys
me
for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much. Do me a favor. We only have 48 likes, so please hit that like button. Please hit that all subscribe button, and please hit that reminder bell so you don't miss out on any of the wonderful Into the Knicks-Verse content. And please share the link on your favorite social media platforms.
Absolutely. Yes, please hit that thumbs up button and turn on the notification bell so you know when we go live and drop a new video. And I definitely want to thank Foxy again for joining me here for this our third draft special. Not sure what I'll be doing on actual draft day because I might be too amped up to do it to go live while it's happening, but I'll probably go live after. That's for sure, definitely. But I might go do a watch along. We'll see about that.
Some of our best shows were a snap of the finger after the show and a few brews or stuff. Let's do a show.
Let's talk about Ivey's defense. This is why I think he really has some potential. Because the mistakes he's making right now defensively are because he goes for the steal, which is ironic because you just, kind of hit him hard on his lack of actual steals. But he's constantly trying to shoot the lane. He's overplaying. And if he doesn't get the steal, what happens? He gets burned. Mm-hmm. Becomes an easier possession for the offense. That's something that can easily be tweaked. And that the one tremendous upside of having Thibs is he can drill that defensive mentality into an offensive player. Look what he did with IQ and Obi.
Well, IQ.
IQ, but Obi has come a long way. Obi's come a long way defensively, and I can see that continuing to progress. And I will give Thibs that credit. And everyone here knows how I feel about Thibs as the coach of the Knicks. So we know that I'm not just talking BS. Parrish, you got another. Thank you so much. Right, we need to do the 13 to 15.
Oh, he's reading my mind.
Yes, we're gonna jump to that in a little bit. I'm gonna
That's
save
my
that.
guy.
Yes, we have a whole thing. In fact, I'm gonna save that so that I don't lose it. One thing I wanted to talk about here is there is the possibility. Leslie Henry puts, "Are we overhyping Ivey?" Now, not sure exactly what you mean exactly by that, but I had been thinking about, are we using Ivey as a smokescreen? Because now we were talking to Detroit about the 5th pick, and then we've had talks with the Pacers of the 6th pick. We've had talks with the Trailblazers. It's just, I don't know how deep it talks about the 7th pick. We might be trying to make sure that somebody thinks that we're going after Ivey and we pivot after somebody else. We have a very shrewd draft analyst in Walt Parent. He might see something that other teams don't see. There's a possibility in that. But in terms of Ivey himself, I don't know. He feels too real to be overhyped, from my opinion. I don't know. How do you feel about that, Foxy?
I think there's the thing where he could be overhyped, meaning sometimes people get blinded by speed, and there's so much more to the game than just speed. So he's from a good pedigree. His mom is the women's basketball coach at Notre Dame, so he understands the business of basketball, what it takes to be great. He's talked about it recently in some interviews. So he's a good kid. I like drafting good kids. So, and he realized there's going to be a whole lot of work. Can he handle New York? I think he can. That's one of the things that we have to look at after Kevin Knox and a few other things, that it goes, can players play at Madison Square Garden, take on the media and take on the fan base? I think Ivey could. I just think he's more of a project to spend all those assets. There's a lot he has to work on. Like I said, his shooting mechanics are not there, man. He's a 74% foul shooter, 46% from the field goal percentage, things like that. He's a really, really good player. But like you said, from a smokescreen, I can understand them. I think it'd be a less of a haul that they'd have to give up for Ben Mathurin. And I think, and then we still have, we could maybe go all in next year for a point guard or something else. But let's give IQ a chance, man. Let's give IQ. And also, folks, I know this is going to sound weird, but we already have a first round pick in this draft. His name is Deuce McBride. The way Deuce played in the G League this year, if he went back for his senior season, he would have killed this past year in college, and he would have been he would have been a lottery pick as a point guard this year. He would be at least a top 20 draft choice. So I think he's going to have a strong summer league. I think there's a pit bull in him. We know he's a great defensive player already, but I think a few of the other things. So let's give. I think this is the year that we at the point guard position. We give Deuce and we give IQ and with D Rose there as a mentor that Sco brought up earlier. Let those kids go and let's see if we can build up parts of the other parts of the lineup.
All right, so I'm just going to ask you straight. Are you saying that what's the cutoff?
I would not trade for just meaning I would not give up basically 3 number ones for, number 11 Dallas 23 and a 24 for Ivy.
So you wouldn't give up 3 number ones for Ivy.
If you can't dominate in college, meaning like you said earlier, some of the great players dominated. They were at a whole nother level in college. So if he couldn't dominate Johnny Davis in their one-on-one matchup and a few other things, take the team on his back, you and I talked before the thing that I could see them being 1 and out in the tournament. And like you said, I know that, but he still had Trevion Williams. He still had Zach Edey on that Purdue team versus a Keegan or a Johnny Davis. So I'd feel a lot better using less assets and going after a Mathurin, or like you said, either staying put or trading down.
All right. So you heard it right here. Stephen Fox is more comfortable with making a smaller move for one of these other players that we'll talk about soon.
Going from 11 to 6 than trying to get down to 4.
Get down to 4. All right.
Because there's a good shot that we could do everything and Ivy's gone by 3.
Well, I don't think we'd make the move if we.
Oh, I agree, but
found out, because I think that's one of the things that I think Leon. I mean, let's hope with his sources, CIA connections, and World Wide West out there that we'd be able to get a really legitimate read on whether Ivy would even be there at 4 to make this deal. So, but here's the other side of it. If Ivy's gone by 4. That means that either one of Chet, Jabari, or Paolo is there at 4.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, those are clear higher tier big men. Now, they have more to work on, but that's interesting. That's an interesting situation. But I doubt, if they want Ivy, I doubt that that's going to be the situation. Though, again, there's the smoke screen situation there. My feeling is if you can structure a deal with two first rounders and 2 players, depending on which 2, I kind of think you have to do it. If you believe as a franchise that this guy has perennial all-star talent, I mean, how do you pass up on a guy like that?
I have no problem doing our number 11, Dallas's number 20, our first round pick for 23, and giving up a Grimes and or an Obi.
That's what we're looking at. Or if somehow it could be Randall instead of
meaning
Obi.
If they turn down 3 from Indiana, I just don't know how the hell we're going to do it. Because that's more Luka Trey, where they went from 3 to 5, and it was really that's why we were screaming at the end of the year, lose games, because going from 6 to 4, going from 11 down there, it's a huge difference.
Yeah.
You're going from an elite player to, I hope he's going to be good.
They're calling that request outlandish. So outrageous asking price. So, and that's how it goes. You start high and the other team starts low, and he finds the middle ground in between. So this is going to be interesting to watch. Less than 48 hours now. Let's see what happens. Let's move on to the next slide. This is like what we were just talking about before, that Parrish drop. Oh no, this is not this one yet. I'm going to save that one. This is a situation, this is like the trading up number 6 for a Ben Mathurin. If the Knicks have done their due diligence and Sharpe is there at 10, maybe we do a pick flop with the Wizards right here. Steve Popper tweeted this out. Knicks interviewed Bennedict Mathurin today, one of 10 interviews he's done with teams. Coach Tom, he's a little bit different, Mathurin said, noting that defense and toughness are traits he thinks Thibs would like. Said he worked out with fellow Canadian RJ Barrett. RJ's been getting around. He's like, AJ has been talking about him. Mathurin, Jaden Ivey's talking about him. Everyone's talking about RJ. But remember, RJ's not a good player. Remember that? That's what the NBA thinks.
Hey, the rumors I'm hearing about the workouts with Mathurin, he may go. He's going crazy in the workouts. The people are saying he looks spectacular.
I heard that he may not even get past the Pacers, the 6th pick. That's what I heard. They loved him. They said he came in and blew people away. So just something to bear in mind. Even though his handle's a little loose, he does struggle sometimes to get past a defender because the handle's a little loose. Like if the defender, it's a good defender, and he puts that he puts that pressure on him right at the time he's going to make the move. It kind of jams him a little bit, and he struggles to kind of take it back out and work his way around sometimes, and then will call for or he'll just shoot it. And those are the things he'll have to work on. The other guy, the mystery man, the biggest mystery man in this draft, Kentucky's Shaedon Sharpe. Shams tweeted this out. He sat down with the at stadium, and he said, "I'm going for the number 1 spot. Getting info back from teams that that I want to hear, that really convince me and push me to stay in the draft and declare." On Bradley Beal / Devin Booker role models, mystery label, and much more. That's the interview that he made. He has that kind of like Devin Booker-ish vibe a little bit. The problem is no one has seen him play in competitive basketball in over a year. So it really is a big mystery. Though he did have some 3-on-3 scrimmages recently for certain teams, and it's looking like he is not going to be there at 11 for the Knicks. The lowest he could drop is 10. Would you be interested in doing a pick flip with the Wizards to grab him at 10?
I wouldn't go for him unless from a workouts. What I've heard in workouts is that he surprised some scouts that with his lack of explosion off the dribble. That he has a 49-inch vertical and all these other things, but buyer beware. I'm old school. Ben and all the other people were talking. We saw them in competition. We saw them in pressure games in conference and in the March Madness. We didn't see anything with this kid, other than mixtapes, and nobody misses baskets and mixtapes. But what I've heard from him, I think, like you said, he has Zach LaVine athleticism, but there's some Cam in him that worries me. He motor-wise and other things, and once I heard from a couple of guys saying, really surprised me his lack of explosion off the dribble. I was like, nah, man, all in on Ben, man. And not saying the Shaedon can't turn out to be fantastic, but I just don't like that. It's thrown the dice, man, on somebody like that. Unless he just blows you away in the workouts. And the last time a player that we had blew people away, it was Kevin Knox. So I don't want to go that route.
That was a different front office. Scott Perry was here, but that's about it. Different front office. Yeah, I wouldn't trust that front office at all. But this one now, in terms of evaluating talent, I would totally trust them. Just somebody interesting. I mean, the guy. I mean, he was a number one high school ranked player at one time.
Yeah, so was Amani Bates.
Yeah, but just for a little bit. He got eclipsed.
So yeah, I'm all in on Ben. I think, everyone knows I love this kid. Over a year ago, I said, I think he's going to go back to school, but there's a sleeper fans, a kid named Bennedict Mathurin. I remember, from Canada going down to Mexico. People don't want to know that, but just lightning first step. He brings that explosiveness, that athleticism, great shooting, magnificent shooting form. Watch him at the foul line. Watch him when the game's on the line. He's a dog. I love dogs. I don't know anything about Shaedon Sharpe is a dog. Ben Mathurin is a dog. He could handle New York City, man.
It sounds like the unknowns are more what's scaring you off.
Yeah. Hey, we can't miss anymore. The distance between us and the talent on other teams are widening, so we can't make mistakes. Yeah.
Here's my feeling about the Shaedon. I mean, I'm with you 100% on Ben. If we can, anyone in any pick in this range, if Ben is there, and somehow we can strike a deal, flip the pick, give him the 2023 for Ben, and that's it. That's all I would do.
Exactly.
I wouldn't add a player. I wouldn't do it. I'm totally down for that because I believe in Bennedict Mathurin. I think Bennedict Mathurin has that pop potential. Is he going to do it right away? No. It's going to take him a year or two. Can he contribute next season? I do think he could contribute.
I'll be a killer catch and shoot right off the bat.
Yeah, exactly. And he does have that dog mentality. And I think he has the physical makeup that can really benefit from that Thibodeau defensive tutelage. It's not like he'd be asking him to do things that are not in his toolbox. That in his facilities, he can do it. So I totally believe in that.
George, how many games were we talking behind the scenes of watching an Arizona game and said, "Did you just see that pass by Mathurin? Oh my God, did you just see that pass by Mathurin?" Pocket passes, lobs. So you and I said, RJ is the only one that unleashes Mitch. Imagine having RJ and then Mathurin, both of them unleashing Mitch in a way for lobs and, pick and rolls. He's a fantastic passer, man.
Yeah. Parrish. See, this is the scenario that speaks to your tweet here, your comment here. Because in this scenario, we can keep both IQ and Obi, and we would be adding one of these two guys.
Exactly. Ding, ding, ding.
That's why I put that up there. Thank you for that contribution, brother. I really think this is something serious. There's been very little discussion about it. We haven't heard any rumors about this. This is us putting this out there. We think that this is something legitimate that the Knicks should be looking at. We want, like we keep saying, we want to upgrade the talent on this team, the high level talent, players that have really high ceiling potential. Unfortunately, I mean, with Shaedon, we don't know what the floor is. Mathurin, I have a feeling what the floor is, but there's definitely not everyone agrees. There's some people that aren't as high on Bennedict as we are. But I see something special in that guy, and I know Foxy does as well. He's totally right. We kept talking about it all the entire college season.
And our friend JD asked the question in the chat a little while ago, what player in 5 years? I absolutely, with everyone,
could be Ben.
It could be Ben. I absolutely feel that Ben could be the best player in 5 years. And you know what impressed me? During the combine, he had an interview. There was no laughing. He was dead serious. And they asked him the question, what do you see yourself in 5 years? And he looked right in the camera, dead serious, and said, the best basketball player in the NBA. And you know what? I want somebody with that type of mentality, that I'm going to eat you alive. I'm going to work like crazy to, like you said, my handles, whatever it takes to be the best player. That's what you want. But that athleticism, that explosion, wow, we could use it. Him in transition. So right off the bat, catch and shoot in transition. Wow, man, he'd be unbelievable.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I think Ben has that, but I think there's a couple of guys that have that. I mean, we're talking about the guards because the bigs, I mean, the bigs aren't irrelevant to us because I mean, for all we know, I mean, Chet has the potential, being a top 3 center in this league. He has that potential. His ability to protect the rim and all that stuff. So that's a different one. We're talking about guards here or wings because that's what the Knicks are.
And it's a wing-based league.
Yes, it's a wing-based league. Exactly. All right, so let's take a break here. We're almost at 300.
We are at 3. Oh,
we
okay.
are at 300. Thank you, guys. Awesome. Thank you so much. Hit the thumbs up for us. We're excited, man. We're within 48 hours of the draft, and the Knicks look like they're very serious about making the right moves. Unfortunately, sometimes the right move you can't actually pull it off. So we may end up staying at the 11th pick. And the 11th pick has been an interesting pick throughout the history of the NBA. It's not a terrible pick necessarily. And in this draft, if certain guys jump up, like it's been speculated, like Ousmane Dieng, who are some of the other guys that are speculated to make a big leap up? Dyson Daniels making a big leap up.
Somebody may like Sohan.
Yep, Sohan.
I don't, but somebody might.
Somebody, for all we know, Terry Eason.
That's my boy. Watch how you talk about him.
Terry Eason can move up. I could see that. Let me see here. Who else? Duren. There's a lot of interest in Duren. He might be somebody that jumps up into the top 10. So that would push interesting players down into the 11 range. Hey, there's JD. JD, thanks, brother. Fill in. If the Knicks draft, blah, 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 I will flip out.
Flip out good, JD, or flip out bad?
Bad. Yeah, I just say bad. Do you mean bad, JD? Going to the text. I'll take it. Say if the Knicks draft good, I mean, the good thing if somehow we get up to the 4th pick and somehow Ivy is gone, OKC does pick him at number 2, and Chet is there at 4, I will flip out with excitement. That would be, I would be ecstatic with that. Flip out in terms of negative.
If I hear Ty Washington, I'll break my computer. Let me put it that way.
At 11?
At 11.
Yeah. At 11, yeah. I would not like that at all. I think Jeremy Sochan. I flip out. I don't think he's,
especially with the 2 4s we have already.
Yeah. We don't need him. We don't need him at all. I think it'd be a waste of a pick at 11. And especially with the news that potentially the Knicks have made some advancements in negotiations with Mitch, which we'll get to in a little while. How about you, Foxy? What would you flip out positive and flip out negative?
Obviously, we got Ben Mathurin. I'd be the happiest guy. I've been talking about for almost 2 years, so it would be like a dream come true. Like I saw this kid, watched every freaking game. As you know, I don't watch highlights. I watch games, so I put a lot of effort into it. And think the world of him. So I'd flip out great, and then I'd flip out poorly, like you said, for like a Ty or I don't know who else possibly that they'd surprise us with. Johnny Davis. I like Johnny Davis, but I would not like Johnny Davis. The one thing I keep thinking about with Johnny Davis is Caleb McConnell of Rutgers. He was the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, 6'7". That length gave Johnny so much problems. Johnny is not a overly athletic guy. He's just athletic. So, the delta between Johnny and Quentin Grimes, I just don't see that there's that giant of a leap between those 2 players for us to take Johnny. I think Johnny's going to be a good player. Like you said, he was a one-man gang at Wisconsin. I think he'll be better, but I think he has problems with length. And He's not a 3. He's a 2. And we need wings. We need guys 6'7" with 7-foot wingspans on this team. So Johnny's not going to do it for me. Ty's not going to do it for me.
Okay. There you have it. There you have it. I would, just to be honest, I would flip out positively if we do pull off the trade to move up to number 4 and get Ivy. If it doesn't cost us both Obi and IQ. If it doesn't cost us both those guys, if just one, I would be happy. I would flip out positive. It would also, here's the other thing about it. It would also show to the NBA and all the other guys that are considering what their next team is going to be in the next 2 to 3 seasons. Hey, man, look at those Knicks. They're making moves. They're hungry. And you know Ivy's going to come out. He's going to score. He's going to score. He's going to be electric. He's going to be on the highlight reel. He's going to be on ESPN every other night with tremendous dunks. I mean, that one play that he made, I still think about it. He drove through the lane. He got
through contact.
Through contact. That's the other thing. He can
finishes through contact.
Finishes through contact. That's something that our players struggle with. Burks, my God, if someone on Burks, he can't he can't finish, and then RJ is looking for the contact too much, and he's not focused necessarily all the time on actually making the bucket. Not Ivy. He was perpendicular with the floor, falling, and he was falling, shot it up, kissed it off the glass, and it went in. It was a big bucket at that time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that kind of stuff, it would just be fine. So then, who knows? Maybe next year we're here at this time, and somebody else is looking to move, and they're looking at the Knicks and like, now that looks like an interesting, exciting team to become a part of. That's what I like. That's what I like about the move. Sometimes when you're bold and aggressive, even if it doesn't work out exactly the way you hope, it does create enough positive traction amongst people's mentality that it could benefit later on. That's my final thoughts on that, and we can move on from this stuff, from the Ivy thing, because I've talked so much about it. I'm exhausted. Let's go to also, guys, hit the thumbs up buttons and subscribe if you haven't yet. Really would appreciate that. Be great. And drop your comments later. Any thoughts later on you guys have?
Yeah, we love your comments. We'll answer everyone. Promise you.
Absolutely. So staying at 11, these are targets right here, and one of them would be Foxy's flip out, Johnny Davis at 11. AJ Griffin, there's a lot of I've seen in the chat people kind of anti AJ Griffin, and then Terry Eason. He might be a little bit of an overreach at 11, but Foxy and I are big fans of Terry Eason. Foxy, what are your thoughts here? Not necessarily about these three, but in general.
Yeah, that if we're staying at we talked about it, taking a step back. I look at Toronto, the team of a few years ago, that were a bunch of dogs and one star with Kawhi. And this past year, Memphis, look at the year they had with a bunch of dogs and one star and Ja. That, maybe we should, it's very difficult for us to get elite talent right off the bat, but let us start accumulating dogs and, getting back to the identity of this team and this franchise as a defensive player, as a defensive team. And I love Terry Eason. If we stay at 11, he has a Scotty Barnes motor, unbelievable explosion and athleticism, very physical, multi-positional defender, NBA body and frame. Only Keegan Murray and Chet Holmgren finished with a higher box of plus minus in college basketball. He was the first Division I player since 2008 to finish with 4.5 steal percentage and a 6.5 block percentage and a true shooting percentage over 60% since Paul George, Tyreek Evans, and Zion. And
just to interject, his offensive game has barely even developed.
Exactly what I was about to say. Yeah. He's 6'8", almost a 7'1" wingspan. He has 11-inch. He has Kawhi hands. He had the biggest hands in the combine. So, like you said, he's very raw on offense. He literally goes only to his right almost every time. but he's unstoppable. He has this dribble through his legs package, and he goes to his right because of this explosion and athleticism. Per 40 minutes, he gets to the line 9.3 times to the foul line. He gets fouled, and like you said, he's incredibly raw, but he shoots 36% from three and 80%, over 80% from the foul line. Yeah. And he ranked 90% in transition. He led, I think, the NCAA and rundown blocks. So getting back to what you were saying, if I'm going to be Foxy's going to put the GM hat on, folks, I want us to get nasty. We got to bring back the nasty. The Knicks and Tari Eason would be, we wouldn't have to put RJ on Tatum anymore. You put Tari on that. You put Tari, he's a monster on defense, absolute monster. And folks, I see when Kawhi came out, he was an incredible defensive player, and it took a few years for this offensive game. If this kid, and this kid came off the bench, he came off the bench and he averaged.
He didn't start.
He didn't start. So, almost, 5, they call it stocks, steals and blocks combine the game. So he's just a monster. He would change everything. When was the last time since a Mace or Oakley that we had an enforcer? We had a nasty guy in there, but with incredible explosion and athleticism. Mm-hmm. So if we're at 11, AJ Griffin, the kid can shoot, unbelievable shooting, but had 2 dislocated knees, one in high school and one at Duke. He just scares the hell out of me. I don't know if it's just being a longtime Knick fan. I just don't want to take on anybody that had catastrophic knee injuries. He's a great kid, a wonderful kid. He can shoot, but he's not a dog on defense. And he has a 7-foot wingspan, but his injuries, non-contact injuries in his career, scare the shit out of me. So I'm all in on Tari at 11.
All right. Well, I love Tari Eason for this team. Now, the problem is we have Randall and Obi. And in this scenario, we're holding on to 11. So that means that Randall and Obi are still on the team. So if we do draft an Eason at 11, you have to move Obi or Randall.
But he can play the 3, though. That's why he's such a special player. He's not a Sohan. He can play the 3. And especially in today's NBA, he can play so many different positions because of that electric athleticism.
His defense
is on another level. Defender.
I still think if you look at the way Thibs coaches, I just don't. It'd be hard for me to see him using him. You're right. He could play the 3. I just not sure.
Hey, if Grimes got on the court, yeah, but Grimes convinced because of his all defense, convinced Tibbs that he should use him. Tari's defense is literally, Tari's floor.
Do you think he's an overreach though at 11?
Hey, it all depends on, like I said, if this kid, and I think in a couple of years, like I said, if he's dropping the shot like that, but if his shot becomes true, I see the floor on Tari being an all NBA defender. Okay. But if he reaches his ceiling, I see a perennial all-star. His offensive rebounding, his second bounce, he's electric. He's absolutely electric. So I would take a shot on him. And like I said, a 7'1" wingspan, almost a 7'2" wingspan, with that athleticism. Wow. That's something this team desperately needs. Length and wings, a shutdown wing like that.
All right. If these 3 guys are available at 11, I would take AJ Griffin. And I hear you, the knees, the concerns, the white stance. And I talked about this in a recent video. I hear all of that. However, he has dog in him. And he's strong. He is very strong. He also, like you pointed it out, he never went under the knife. Even though that we could confirm. because Foxy, you tried to look it up. He did have 2 knee injuries, and then he had an injury.
2 dislocated knees.
Yeah, and then he suffered a. Wait, does that include the injury he had at Duke?
Yep, he had a dislocated knee on his right knee at Duke and a dislocated knee in high school at Stepinac on his left knee.
And he got hurt during March Madness, and he played through it. That is very encouraging to me. And then here's the final thing. Hands down, the best long-range shooter in all of college coming out. And he played it at a high level. We're not talking about guys who played in like these little leagues and stuff, these little college leagues. He played at a high level. He shot 45% from behind the arc. He's 6'6"?
6'6", 7'1" wingspan.
A little wingspan. Look at that. I mean, if he can get back to that 90% burst of what he had, that's an interesting player. That's a very interesting player.
But this is my concern when I looked up and did the research. His coach at Stepinac, Pat Massaroni, said it was a kind of just a freaky thing when he went down, but it was a pretty gruesome injury.
Well, kneecaps.
So when your foot is pointing to Staten Island and the rest of the leg is pointing to Brooklyn, so whether Gordon Hayward, a lot of players just never get back that explosion. Paul George never did. So I'm just really worried for him as a kid having those 2 type of non-contact injuries that I don't want to go through that again with this Knick curse.
All right, well there you have it. Foxy is legitimately concerned with AJ's injury history. I think at 11, if we stick at 11 with the type of team that we have, I think he would, because we need outside shooting. We need guys who could look how much better the team got when Grimes was out there snapping off five 3-pointers in a row, and when IQ's 3-point shot finally came around. Obi's 3-point shot finally came around. Remember, we suffered most of the season with these guys shooting in the low 30s. I mean, Obi was in the low 20s at one point. We need outside. We need bona fide, consistent outside shooters, and him at 6'8", 6'7", can with a 7'1" wingspan, he'll be able to get his shot off. He has a nice step back.
Beautiful step back.
And he can shoot it from almost 4 feet behind the 3-point line. Now, that was the college one, but that's still, we've seen that translates to the pro game.
Kudos to his dad. Literally the best shooting mechanics, whether it's a mid-range or 3-point, it looks the same. And what we've talked about, Quentin, we love Grimes. His release point is
his upper body mechanics, perfect.
Gorgeous. Yeah, his father did a great job. That's why it was so weird that his father, some of you may not know, was assistant coach on Toronto and recently interviewed for head coaching positions. Taught him well. That's why with Ivy is like, how do you have those shooting mechanics and your mom is a top level coach?
Yeah. Shot clock violation. I can tell he's a fan of Griffin. Griffin go behind the back and between the legs, step back, all net. That's and at a high clip. He hits tough shots. That is for sure. And the way that he plays, Foxy, the way that he shoots, I can see. I have a high confidence that he can develop the mid-range game. But getting all the way to the rim, that's where he needs that to regain his burst that he had. But in the pro game, the way that he shoots and the way that he can create space with his wiggle and his handle, I think that mid-range game, that 10-footer, from 10 to 18-footer, is there for him.
Yeah. Hey, it bothered, meaning he disappeared in the Final Four, lost to North Carolina. And those are the things that I look at, that can you come back? This is New York. Can you come up big in big games? And he disappeared. But like you said, 44, almost 45% from 3, 45% from pull-ups, 62.5% off of screens. Only Devin Booker has ever achieved the shooting statistics.
That's the stat
that AJ Griffin did, folks.
Yeah.
So just frightening. 70% at the rim, 40% on 3-pointers. Very strong, like you said.
If you dig deep into his shooting stats, they're
Remarkable.
Yeah, they're remarkable. So that's what I'm saying. Hey, here's the thing: if he's there at 11, and we can do a flip with Charlotte for the 13th and 15th pick, and somehow we can like grease the wheels with the 12th pick to get him, like he's an interesting player for this team because, like I said, he's a bucket from long range bucket, no doubt.
Right off the bat, like you said, catch and shoot will be dynamite.
Yeah, he can contribute next year, just the way Grimes did.
Yeah, and he's a coach's son, so he's coachable, man.
And his father was on the Thibodeau staff at Minnesota, so there's that. And he had a great workout. The CAA Pro Day workout with Ivey. The two of them were out there, and Griffin looked just as explosive and dynamic as Ivey did in that workout, from what I saw. Johnny Davis. My opinion of Johnny Davis has improved. I dug a little deeper into the situation that he was in. I mean, he was forced to take a lot of bad shots because there was no one on the team who could score. Like literally. I mean, we were saying that about Ivey, but Ivey at least had Williams, who was a playmaker at the center position, and Edie. But like Johnny Davis had nobody. So, and then he got that little bit of an injury. It really hurt him statistically. I think he's also like, let's say Griffin is gone and whatever, maybe the Knicks don't value Terry Easton as much. If they ended up with a Johnny Davis, I would be happy. I'd be totally happy with a Johnny Davis at 11. That's it wouldn't be like a I wouldn't feel like why do we pick this guy? I wouldn't have that. Would I be doing backflips? No. But I would feel okay about taking a Johnny Davis at 11.
Yeah, Johnny's a quality player. Like I said, my only issue is that, Quentin, there's a lot of similarities in their game.
Yeah.
Hey, we have a super chat from our friend JD.
Yes. Before I show that, I did want to show this one here. Chief Boyer says, what about move Randall to the Spurs for the 9th pick? Now, that wouldn't need a flip. We'd keep the 11th pick in that scenario. I haven't heard any interest on the Spurs behalf for Randall, but it's definitely something interesting to look at for the Knicks, and something we'd have to do in the next 40-something hours, because we want to. Any idea about moving Randall, I'm excited about.
He's a Texas boy, so maybe going home.
Yeah, that's interesting there. Parrish, did we cover this? We need to do 13 and 15.
Yeah, we'll get there in a second.
Oh yeah, we'll get that. We'll get there in a second.
Parrish is the coolest.
And then we got JD. What's up, man? Foxy, trust you. Malachi, love the comparisons to Middleton. However, is it true that he is bad, not decent, bad on defense? If so, I might be out. I can help answer this one too for you, Foxy.
Yeah, so here's the good parts, JD, on Malachi. NBA ready body and size, one of the most efficient scorers in this past college season. 49.8 from field goal percentage, over 41% from three, 83% from the foul line. So that's 50-40-90 right there. That's the gold standard. He takes and he makes them, but he takes way too many difficult shots. He can play both on and off the ball, but here's the killer, JD. He lacks athleticism, speed, and explosion. We don't need that on this team. We need athleticism.
Which is why he suffers defensively.
And why he suffers. Thank you for the punchline. Exactly. So that's the thing where, especially laterally, he has some good techniques, but that lack of athleticism and explosion is the killer.
I got to say, this is one of the guys where, because, I was hearing people, excited, other shows, other podcasts, other channels, writers, reporters, analysts, draftologists. Some of them were really excited about Malachi. And then because I really didn't see, I watched one game of his during the season. I didn't even remember it. So I dove deep into the film. I was like, what do they see in this guy? I don't understand. I mean, I'm talking about at the 11th pick and above. If he's there at 18 for a team,
Yeah,
that's a nice value pick. But
yeah, but guys like Bryce McGowan, who's 6'7" and is uber athletic, I see down the road in 3 years him
I'd rather
being.
think of Jalen Williams.
I love Jalen Williams, as you know. That was one of our the sleepers. Yeah, he's 6'6" with a 7'2" wingspan. He only has a 6'10" wingspan in Malachi. So,
actually, in the ESPN Plus, Givoni has Malachi going 18th to the Chicago Bulls. He's young though; he's only 19.
He's a pup, I know, but he's not going to get more athletic.
He's not going to get more athletic. He's not going to get faster. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's
great
the right
question,
guy for
JD.
this team. Yeah, that is a good one because there is a lot of interest in Malachi at 11, and I purposely didn't include him in here because I don't see him as the right guy for this team. All right, let's get to the next one. Trade down targets, and now we can finally show Parrish's. There it is. We need to do the 13 to 15 trade and get 2, 3, and Ds. Well, right here we have 4 guys, one of them who Foxy already said he'd break his computer if the Knicks got him at 11. But, trade down. I mean, it doesn't have to be 13 to 15. They could be trade down to 18 or whatever. But Ty Washington, I had to include him here because of the Kentucky connection. And if we do have to include IQ in a trade at some point, you're going to want somebody with his skill set there available. And we know that.
And we do. His name is Deuce McBride.
Yeah. Which I loved, obviously. I loved it. But, we're going to need somebody to replace what IQ gave us. And Ty is actually a better finisher than IQ. He's got a lot of positives. He's
not elite at anything.
He's not elite in anything.
And he's just an average athlete.
Yeah. Yeah. So he would be like a solid pickup in the lower third of the first round. That's the way I look at him. Or even maybe 18th, whatever. Terry Eason, I think that would be a tremendous trade down pickup. And Ochai Agbaji, who I'm very high on. I love his game. I think it'll translate to the NBA well. He doesn't have that super burst of speed. He can't really finish at the rim as effectively as you'd hope. But the guy can shoot. And he's
great shooter.
Great shooter. He's a great shooter. And he's a winner. And I love that about him.
And he's an academic All-American. I love smart. Coach's
guy.
Dream.
And then the 4th guy on here, and we can talk about anybody else. If you guys are going to throw in names in the chat about
here's my sleeper coming up.
Yeah. There's your sleeper.
Dalen Terry.
Dalen Terry. Go for it, Foxy.
Just so trade down scenarios. And my guy Parrish, I love him because we're brothers. We think the same thing, that I definitely would think about trading our 11 pick to Charlotte, and whether a second rounders or even a Mitch sign and trade, because they've been looking for a center. We get 13 and 15 and we select Terry Eason and Dalen Terry. And people like Dalen Terry at 15, I would trade up. I am a Ben Mathurin freak. I've watched so much. And then finally, if you watch so much Mathurin, you're like, well, what a beautiful pass to Ben cutting. Who gave him that pass? Dalen Terry. Oh my God, great steal. Who made that steal? Dalen Terry. Who hit that? He shot 46% on catch and shoot. So he was a second fiddle at, you couldn't see all of this kid's things, but he has violent dunks. He's athletic. He was all Pac-12 defensive team. Defends a nightmare. Watch the last 2 minutes against Tennessee against Kennedy Chandler, who's a tough, quick player. What Dalen Terry did to him, great handles, unbelievable assist to turnover ratio. 36, 50% from the field, 36% from 3, over 46% catch and shoot. Just a killer guy. From the combine interviews, everyone came away and said He's one of the best glue guys in this college draft. This is a winner kid. Has, again, Scotty Barnes energy comes in. Just a great kid, great energy, a monster on defense. 6'7" with a 7'1" wingspan. We've been looking for these type of wings. So, what I was saying for us, for the Knicks fans, is like, let's go the Memphis route. Let's go to Toronto a few years. Let's get dogs. Let's get nasty. Let's bring back the nasty to the New York Knicks. If we come away from a draft with Terry Eason and Dalen Terry, we had a hell of a draft.
I agree. I like him a lot. But at what point? I mean, at what pick what's the highest you'd be willing to go for him? Because I think 15 might be a little high.
I think he's a sleeper. Somebody's gonna, we've seen it in the last few drafts.
So you think that high? You think?
I think that high. I think he's the best passer in this draft in transition. I don't think anyone has the court vision. If you watch enough Arizona games, he is unbelievable. He has like Josh Giddey type of vision, this kid. In today's NBA, we talk about point guards and everything, not the traditional. This kid is this is the new NBA's type of point guard, this kid. He sees the floor. He can shoot. He has athleticism. He can dunk. The steals. He's so disruptive with that 7'1" wingspan on defense. He smothers point guards. So all of a sudden, with a snap of the finger, we have two guys now that are just defensive guys. And in the next few years, as they mature, wow, watch out.
Awesome. I love all that. Scott Woodruff.
Hi, Scott.
Chat. Jalen Williams, Alondis Williams, EJ Liddell, which I think whoever gets EJ Liddell will also be a very happy team.
Yeah.
Good trade down guys. I don't think we've worked out any of these guys, though. Have we?
I have not heard any of those guys. As you know, we talked about Jalen Williams before anybody. Him and Ryan Rollins, we talked about sleepers like 2 months ago or whatever. So Jalen Williams from Santa Clara, 6'6", 7'2" wingspan. Love his game. May get a little burned on defense because he's a little upright, but he sees the floor beautifully. Alondis Williams is the best passer in this draft. He's electric, athleticism. Didn't have the greatest assist to turnover ratio, but New York fans would love him. He has a lot of flair to his game. And like you said, EJ is like this Grant Williams type of 6'6" power forward who can shoot threes, has a really disruptive 7-foot wingspan. So those are definitely good guys. And the other person on there, actually, Scott, that I love is Jalen Williams from Arkansas, Jaylin.
The other guy,
That is my sleeper pick. I love that guy. You look at Kevon Looney and the way the NBA is going at the 5 position. It's funny, just real quick. I read this scouting report. High basketball IQ makes those around him better, possesses sense of maturity and leadership qualities. Great college player, but maybe be undersized, playing maybe at the 5. Lacks explosiveness, agility, elusiveness, and quickness. Under the rim finisher, which is troublesome. Not a threat, really. That was the scouting report for Draymond Green. And, so I watched basketball. Jalen Williams of Arkansas had 54 charges, led the nation in charges. It was one of probably him and Trevion Williams that my brother George mentioned from Purdue earlier, the best passing big men in the whole draft. Unbelievable court vision.
Unbelievable.
Pick and pop and stretch 5 capabilities. And a dog. I mean, I see a more athletic Taj. So if we can get that kid, Jalen Williams from Arkansas, I would love that kid. Especially if the rumors are true that we're going to get rid of Nerlens Noel.
Yeah, that's for sure. We did hear that the Knicks are active in getting off of Burks and Noel's contracts.
Yeah, and getting back to one of your questions about Dalen Terry, one of the things I also thought about was us sending Nerlens. The Spurs are one of the few teams that have cap room. They only have Jakob Portal, their center. Send Nerlens. It's a 1-year contract to them, and the rights to Rokas Jogobaitis for the number 20 pick, and take Dalen Terry there.
I love that idea. I love that. You want to add guys like that on your team. You can't. Here's the thing, though. We have a lot of young guys. There's going to be a logjam at some point. We are going to have to move somebody. It's just, and especially when you think about who the coach is. But at this point, if you can add a Dalen Terry, I do agree with, I forgot who else posted it. He has that steal of the draft type potential.
People in
He's
5
huge.
years are going to be saying, I can't
6'7"?
believe he's 6'7", 7'1" wingspan. Yeah. He and Dyson Daniels tied for the tallest guards in the whole draft, especially standing under the rim and stuff like that. So they had the same exact credentials. Basically, he had a little longer actually than Dyson Daniels.
Okay, let's throw this in here. JD sent me this. I was trying to put it up here. I can't put it up right now. But Evan Siddery, who I referenced earlier in the tweet, he tweeted out not that long ago. The Hornets are looking to trade one of their 2 first-round picks, so that's a 13th or a 15th pick, alongside Gordon Hayward to clear cap space for retaining Miles Bridges, per Windhorst, ESPN. We know that Thibs wanted Gordon Hayward. Before Thibs' first season as coach, before the beginning of the 2020, so 2019, yeah, the 2020, was it the 2020? Yeah, the 2020-21 season. Before that season, that was Thibs' first season. That was the guy that Thibs was interested in getting, Gordon Hayward, but he ended up choosing Charlotte. Now, we'd have to take upon some salary, but we have ways that we can dump some salary. Like mentioned, we can get rid of Burks and Nerlens, and I'm sure we can find a place for Kemba's contract. We can open up enough room to take Gordon plus the 13th pick. Then you can grab you can add one of these guys and potentially one of the other guys we've been talking about.
And we still have Fournier on this roster?
And we still have Fournier on this roster.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Defense for those 2 guys.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we find a place for Fournier. I mean, I don't know. Or maybe we swing Gordon Hayward to somewhere else. I think Gordon has 2 years, I believe, left. 2 years left on his contract. He signed a 4-year back. Right. So he's going into his 3rd year. So he has 2 years left. That's interesting. That's very interesting because there's definitely been discussions in the past about Gordon Hayward. He is a walking injury. That's right, UBG. He is a walking injury. That's the problem with that. But it'd be interesting to so you're taking on a contract, a guy who we all know he's an excellent scorer when he's healthy, and he seems to be an all around a good guy, not a disruptive force. And then we gain a draft pick, an additional draft pick. Interesting. What are your feelings about that, Foxy?
I don't take in, me with injuries. Greatest ability is your availability, and and we saw what happened with the Fournier on D and stuff like that. A guy that's can light it up on one side but gets lit up on the other side. So he's not my type of player. And like you said, he makes 31.5 and 23.24.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So he makes 30 million, 30.1 next year, and then 31.5 the year after.
Yeah, I'm not excited about it. I wouldn't do it, but you never know with this front office and with this coach. Just something that you guys just keep in mind, that something like that might actually happen in the next 40-something hours. All right, let's get to this story. But before we get to that,
9 days.
Yeah, before we get to that, so let's take a break. Shout out to the chat. We've been going an hour and a half. We're going to wrap this up soon. We wanted to keep these under. We're trying to keep it to an hour, but
we missed you, so it's hard
to get it rolling. We have a lot to talk about, and the chat's been awesome with the contributions. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit that thumbs up button for us. Here we go. Let's talk about our center. We got some news today. Finally, some good news, some promising news. This is a Knicks feed. Put this out on Instagram, referencing Mark Stein of the New York Times. Report is a new multi-year deal between the Knicks and Mitchell Robinson is looming. And then SNY tweeted this out. My read at the moment is that the club would feel comfortable matching an offer that's in the neighborhood of the mid-level exception projected at $44.5 million over 4 years. Where do the Knicks stand on an extension with Mitchell Robinson? Then Ian Begley, you guys should check that out. It seems like they're getting close. They're finding a comfort in numbers and in length of contract. If I were Mitch, with my history in injury history, I would want a 4-year deal, even if I sacrifice a few dollars on the per just to have the 4th year. I would do that. I would definitely do that if I were him. Maybe they end up somewhere around 48 million-ish. So you're talking about an average of 12 million per year.
That's a slightly under Robert Williams. Last year's making 13, but it's 12 and change. So that's in that Robert Williams Time Lord vicinity.
Yeah. So that makes sense. That's like a good vicinity. That's not a, you can feel comfortable giving a player like Mitch, who is very similar to Robert Williams, giving him that kind of deal. I think this could be good. We can finally put this to rest, and then we know we'd have to move off of Nerlens' contract, and then let Jarrett go. Let Jarrett go have those minutes.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is he played 72 games last year. Mitch played about 25 minutes a game. 8.5 points per game, 8.6 rebounds. Less about a half an assist per game, 1.8 blocks. As we know, he's a premier offensive rebounder in this league. 76% foul from the field, 48% from the foul line. So my issues with Mitch is that I think 11 million. I have no problem in that range because I still think that's a tradable contract down the road. But can he stay healthy? And, we were all happy that he didn't have a catastrophic injury last year. He still missed the last 3 games of the year. And not that they meant anything, but it just concerns me that, he went down. He went from a 54% lifetime, a career foul shooter down to 48%. Didn't show any things of a jump hook or, a mid-range, a little midi shot, it showed that he can't play the perimeter that like he had hopes when his rookie season.
Yeah.
Can't, is he a dated center in the way this league is going, that he's great in the paint, but if the guy's hanging out a stretch
he gives you that superior high level rim protection.
That's he does.
And he's a rim runner.
But so does Mark Williams.
Yes. But do you want to waste the 11? Why do you want to make a lateral move when we know what we have with Mitch and we add another piece? And then you know what? We can that Mitch contract. If he plays 70 games a season for the next, it's a very movable contract.
I'm with you. I'm just concerned.
He's
about
a young
his
asset.
Health.
He's a young asset. I just don't want another Nilikina situation or even. I mean, Knox. At least we were able to flip him but it cost us a 1st-round pick. Flip him for Cam. This guy is a legitimate. First of all, he holds the record in highest field goal percentage in the NBA, in the history of the NBA, in a single season. And then he would have beat it again last season. Oh, wait, the season before, if he had just played played enough games. But I mean, and he fits with this team. Thibs loves him. He has that mentality. He has a bit of the dog mentality too that we like. Is he wild? Is he unrefined? Yes. But I think if we let him walk, it would be a huge mistake. And this is a good value. I think this is a good value contract.
Can you play him in the last 2 minutes of a game?
That'll be the question. And you know what? We may not have to. We may not have to, because the way the league is going, those kind of guys towards the end of the game, you don't necessarily have to have them on the court to win. Look at what Boston did. I mean, not Boston. Well, actually, Boston, yes. Williams wasn't in towards the end of the games.
He was injured a lot too. Yeah.
Yeah, he was injured a lot too. But I meant Golden State. You know, look what they did. So he's just a great asset. I would, and we'd have to replace him with something, and I wouldn't want to use our pick to replace him. That's my issue about him at that point. So I like this deal. If we were talking about 75 over 4 years, remember we were like choking a bit on that. Even 15 million a year, that starts getting a little steep. That's 60 million for 4 years. You know, it starts getting a little steep. But at 11 something, that is this is a little over 11 per year.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about this news. Actually, of all the crazy news we've been hearing recently, that's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah, I like Mitch, but he just concerns me. You watch a game, he's on the deck like 5 times a game. He's always on the deck. Always on the deck. He always looks like something's aching on him, and then he makes a miraculous comeback. But was last year the outlier of him being able to play 72 games, and just meaning, are we cool giving somebody around $12 million for 25 minutes? You know, Time Lord Robert Williams played about 5 minutes more per game than Mitch. So can he play that? And, you know, we talked about it. You know, he surrounds himself with bad people. That he had 6 different agents. You know, whoever said to him, put on X amount of weight, thank God he lost it and he got back some of that bounce. But at the beginning of the season, we're like, this is not even the same player. How do you do that in a contract year? So, you know, some of the weird cryptic tweets that he puts out. So he showed sometimes lack of a maturity, doesn't set the greatest screens. You know, he's inconsistent on his pick and roll defense. So when is he going to come into his own?
Maybe it'll be next season. I mean, he made it. I mean, playing 72 games off of an injury year, that's nice. That's promising.
It is.
That's promising.
Hey, Robert Williams played only 61.
Exactly. Let me read a little more from this SNY article. In his newsletter, Mark Stein said on Tuesday he'd heard the strong rumblings to date that Mitchell Robinson would re-sign with the Knicks on a multi-year deal. Last month, Ian reported that several suitors who could offer Robinson the mid-level exception would have interest in the center. And he also noted that some Knicks decision makers had been in favor of re-signing Robinson. So that's probably Thibs for sure. I would imagine Thibs is in that camp. Ian's read on Robinson and the Knicks at the moment is that the club would feel comfortable matching an offer that's in the neighborhood of what we're saying right here, $44.5 million over 4 years. Pistons are a threat for him. And then we heard that possibly,
but also an opportunity for a sign and trade too.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. All right. Well, this has been a great show, man. Great show. This will be the last live draft show before the actual draft. Haven't decided if I'm going to go live during the draft itself. It's going to be a wait and see situation for me. I'll let you guys know. But I'll definitely either go on live after the Knicks make their pick, or put out a video for Friday. And Foxy, you're welcome to join me for the after draft show. If things go well and you haven't smashed your computer.
I was about to say they still have a computer.
Exactly.
Hey, we super appreciate the chat. Great, all your questions. We missed you, so it's so nice touching base with you and hearing your thoughts.
Oh yeah, I got a shout out. We surveyed 100 people. Forgot to shout him out earlier. He was here.
One of our field producers.
Yes.
We don't know a starting lineup without we surveyed 100. He lets us know every game. Bodega Wi-Fi too. Good friend.
You know what? Let's drop a couple of names, a couple of sleeper names that we haven't discussed right now in this draft. Well, you did. You talked about Jalen Williams. I like him. I like him. I think he has tremendous upside. Potential. Steal of the draft type potential. Who are you thinking?
I think Dalen Terry is a steal of the draft. I like Ryan Rollins a whole lot. I think that he's extremely smooth. He has a great feel for the game.
Ishmael Kamagate.
He's a stash. I love his abilities. Hey folks, he outplayed the #1 draft choice, Victor Wembanyama. He was so physical that Wembanyama got in early foul trouble and was out of the game. So this guy got game. Ishmael Kamagate, and one of the cool things, he plays with Kyle O'Quinn, ex-Knick, on that Paris team. So his English has gotten better, and he has a really good tutor what it takes to make the big show. So I think he's going to be he has a 7'5" wingspan. He's athletic. He has some offensive game. So he's a stash, though. He's about a couple years away.
He is a stash. He's a stash. Another guy, Christian Koloko. Brown. Christian Brown is a nice. He's a nice pickup.
Yeah, I see Miami. I absolutely see him going to a team like that,
or even the Bucks or something.
Exactly, the Bucks. He'll be there, although they already have a Grayson Allen type of player. But he's that type of player. He's tough as nails, shockingly athletic. You don't think he's as athletic as he is. He's long. He can shoot. He's a national champion, folks.
Exactly. And who is the other guy? Who's that Italian guy?
Gabriel Prascita?
Yeah, Presidia. Is it Presidia?
Presida, I believe. 6'7", uber athletic, can shoot the hell out of the ball. So I absolutely see him being drafted.
Totally.
Very athletic.
Very athletic. So we talked about Bryce McGowan's. You brought him up as well.
Yeah, versus when JD brought up Malachi, that I just, Bryce out of Nebraska, he's 6'7", he's thin and everything, but in a couple of years, what we're talking about, folks, as analysts and stuff, is not necessarily this year, but 2 years from now. And then 2 years from now, I could see him being killer.
Yeah, we're talking about like the second round guys, like even in the high second round. But even what's our second round pick? We have
42. Skidoo.
He might be there around 42.
But we have a hell of a lot of second round picks that hopefully, if we see somebody that we could trade up 42nd plus a second and move up even higher.
Blake Wesley.
Out of Notre Dame. I wouldn't go for him.
No.
So a couple of sleepers. Jaden Hardy. He's this year's Cam Thomas. He is a walking bucket, 3-level scorer. I love a guy. He was 18 years old, didn't start off well in the G League because it was a boy going against men, but he adapted. He could light it up, folks. So I could see in a few years from now, people like, man, is that guy a sharpshooter? How the hell did he drop?
All right, there you go. Those are some of the sleepers to keep an eye on. And I feel like there's one more that we're missing. Oh. Well, he did not have a good freshman year, but he has tremendous physical talent. Patrick Baldwin.
Would not draft him in a million years. Did you see his stats? See, I have a higher vertical at the combine. I'm saying had a bad year. You didn't even go to a major. You went to University of Milwaukee. Couldn't dominate at that level. His father was the coach. He shot like shit. Went to the combine, and his measurables were terrible. So I would not, so everybody sees him and says, "Oh my God, that's an MPJ. That's Michael Porter Jr. clone." No, he's not. Just in height and stuff, I would not take him, and also motor issues. So he's not even on my
I could
chart.
explain why he struggled so much. Let's see. Anything else that I missed in the chat? Hey, shout out D Nice.
Yeah,
Shout
D
out
Nice.
Billy Blanco, Bodega Wi-Fi. What's up, brother?
Everybody talking about Kai Soto. You want high views? Just do a video on Kai Soto.
I know. Kai Soto is not probably will get drafted with the 58th or 60th pick.
Yeah, another stash. He has to hit the weight room for about 20 years.
Yeah. All right. Who else? Scott Woodruff, of course. Great to see you, brother.
Still Dre.
Yeah. Still Dre. What's up? Missed you there.
And again,
Lucas Eureka.
JD Sports Talk. JD, good to talk to you.
JD.
Great questions as always.
We need you in front. Talking Knicks, talking NBA. Let's go.
Yeah.
I like Koloko.
Yeah, Koloko, hey, we saw him a lot for Arizona from both Dalen and from Mathurin on lobs. He's pretty athletic, good shot blocker.
Shoot the three. Here's the one thing. He could shoot the three.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Yeah. I absolutely I think the NBA is going different. That's why I like Jalen Williams of Arkansas. I like more compact, fives today than the old fashioned 7-2 guys running like they're on stilts. Type of players, but yeah, he's athletic. I definitely see him going early second round, maybe even late.
I can see him being a rotation piece for many years on a team. Yeah, and that in the second round, that's gold to find that.
Also, a great kid. I do a lot of research, and the guy, everybody says he's just a wonderful kid.
Yes, absolutely, I agree with that. All righty. I think we have hit every topic there is to hit right now for the Knicks. It's been a great show, Foxy. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, I love hanging with you and with into the Knicks-Verse family and just talking. It's been a little while we're enjoying our summers and or early summer, first getting into it. I've been in the garden, so forgive my cough, and I've been covered with pollen the last putting in flowers and everything else. So I'm enjoying my garden. It looks great, but I'm coughing like a SOB.
Oh man. Take it easy.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank everyone for joining us here. It's been fantastic. The chat, shout out to everybody. Great contributions. Again, if you have any thoughts, especially about the draft, only 40 hours left, just drop it in the comments section and the replay of the video. And keep looking out for videos. Probably post something tomorrow. And definitely will, like I said before, we'll have some kind of a draft recap. Whether it's actually we go live to do it, or it's an actual recorded video that I drop later that night or early Friday morning. Stay tuned for that. And then we'll begin the free agency period. Now, it's not going to be as exciting as years past, because there, just aren't that many players around, but there's always some movement. There's trades. It's going to be active in some form. It's not going to be as active. There's going to be more trades than people anticipate. That's another thing to keep an eye on. And we'll be here to jump on all of that and comment on all of it. And please keep Kyrie away from orange and blue.
You have another super chat from D Nice.
Oh, awesome. Let's see. Thank you, D Nice. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, man, for the kind thoughts.
Thank you for all the support throughout. D-Nice is one of my first supporters. It's been awesome. I really appreciate all the love for the channel.
And everyone in the chat, just I'm an old hippie. Just close our eyes. Let's put our heads together from cyberspace. And Lord, please, we're overdue for some luck. Please let somebody drop in our lap for us to get a player that the fandom and everybody can just say, it's about time, man. We got a guy that we can build along with RJ and the other guys, the core. Please let us get some luck for once in a million years. We don't ask a lot. Please.
To the basketball gods.
Yes.
Yes.
Hail Mary, full of grace, Baruch Adonai Eloheinu.
I forgot my Hebrew.
I just gave you some.
Oh. All right, I hid my background for a second. All right, guys. Again, thank you, and we will see you around the Knicks-Verse.